In Wyoming, on location in Lyons Park, Cheyenne, Wyoming, an opportunity till 4 p.m. to visit with Joseph Kibler for Wyoming governor in the 2026 race. Giving freedom back. What does giving freedom back mean to you, Joseph?
Well, you know, Eric, to put it simply, if you have to ask for permission, it's not true freedom, is it? I mean, that's to put it really, really simply. And until we are willing to be something different, we really can't do something different, Eric. And I think that's a big problem that we see in modern day politics. By the way, I'm not a politician, which is probably why I can come up with and say these things, Eric, with some authority, is that we've really got to decide to be something different, because all we're getting is more of the same in a different way. You know, you and I were talking, Eric, during the break about how we're really just kind of a little bit disappointed in some ways because we're getting more of the same in a different way. We're not shrinking bureaucracy. We thought we were going to do that. We're not doing that. And that means we got to be something different.
How do you feel about the big, beautiful bill?
Don't get me started. You know, I got a couple of opinions about that. First of all, I'm going to express a little bit of disappointment here, and that may not be what the viewers want to see, but I was a little disappointed that our representatives were ready to sign that the minute it hit their desks. No questions asked, really. I really want to see better representation in that from our leaders in Washington.
Are you viewing exemplary leadership in our elected body?
Not leadership that serves the people, if I'm being honest, Eric. I mean, I think these are good folks that want to serve the people, but maybe they're too caught up in bureaucracy. I don't know, Eric. It's a good question.
When you give people an opportunity to come up today, they're backing up now as we do this interview. It's beautiful day in Cheyenne.
Yeah.
How consistent is this day to day and the conversations you're having, or how has it changed since January when you announced this year your candidacy for governor?
Well, that's a great question. I mean, now, you know, at this point, since it's been since January, obviously people are coming up to the booth and they know my name now, which is pretty awesome. But I think some of the big differences, Eric, is just really people are tired of the polarization. They're tired of evisceration and polarization. And they appreciate the fact, Eric, that no matter where they come from, they can have a conversation with me.
That's what you've heard this far.
Yeah.
How does somebody connect with you going forward? How do they connect with you running for governor, your campaign? Where can they get a hold of you? I know your email, joseph@joseph4wy.com. Are you open to texts and calls?
Yeah, so my phone number is on all of our campaign material. It's on the website, Eric. They could text and call me. In fact, Eric, you know that you can call me.
Yeah, we did it. Yeah. We did it on the fly earlier this week, leading up to Super Day in Cheyenne. Today till 4 o'clock, absolutely blue sky, and what a heater! Yeah. You want to stay hydrated today.
Yeah, that's why I got my iced tea. Hey, free iced tea at this booth, you guys.
Joseph Kibler's booth 142.
Yep.
And it's very close to 8th in the Lyons Park property, and just south of the Botanic Gardens of Cheyenne.
Yeah.
And so if you are interested, walk your way directly due south of the Cheyenne Botanical Gardens front doors, south to 8th, and you will undoubtedly find the big Joseph Kibler for Wyoming governor signage, and you'll have your opportunity. I guarantee you, the flexibility that I've seen from you so far, Joseph, you will make the time to talk to people.
I will, absolutely.
And showing up has been something you've done virtually before anybody else for governor of Wyoming. How does that feel to be a leader in that way?
Well, I think it's important and necessary as well. You know, I am after people. I'm not after PACs, Eric. I want to meet the people, and I need a year to do that. You know, the real race doesn't start until a little less than a year from now. So it gives me an opportunity to hear the heartbeat of the people well ahead of time. And that's really what I'm doing, is hearing the heartbeat of the people.
One of the really fundamental questions that I hear with visitors to your table, who are you? What do you stand for?
Yeah, that's a great question. Well, that's a great question, because I'm not running against things, I'm running for things. So I stand for, first of all, let's back up a little bit. Let's talk about who I am. I'm a Christian, I'm a Christ follower. I'm a dad, I'm a business owner, I'm a husband, I'm an entrepreneur, I'm a Bible study leader, I'm a regular dude, I was a firefighter for 20 years, public servant. Love doing that. And I'm a difference maker. I'm a leader, Eric. You and I were talking about this. We kind of didn't finish this conversation. I think it's a gift, Eric, that God's given to me. I walk into a room and people like what I have to say. They want to follow me. They want me to lead. And I think that's a unique gift. It's not something that everyone has. And I'm not saying that to boast myself up. It's just sort of a natural thing that happens.
And what do you stand for? What's your campaign? What are you founding your campaign on? Giving freedom back. What's that mean to you?
Giving freedom back, the founding of our campaign. By the way, maybe we should talk a little more about the big, beautiful bill and how it doesn't really accomplish that, Eric. But giving freedom back means that you don't need permission to exercise your freedoms. And whether that's your Second Amendment right, whether that's a doctor providing a treatment for a patient, or a holistic doctor, that's coming up right now in some of our legislative conversations, providing treatment for a doctor, but where people can do what they're good at and not have to get permission for it, Eric.
Challengers to that thinking might say that's the price. Giving up some of those freedoms is the price of living in a civilized society. What say you on that comment?
I'm told it can't be done, Eric, but I think that you can have both. I think that we can roll gun rights back to the Second Amendment and leave it at that in Wyoming. And let's just stop messing with it. Let's stop legislating it to death. Let's do the same to education. Let's do the same to healthcare.
Will you use fear as a motivator for public opinion and swaying public support?
Oh, absolutely not. In fact, that's what I'm so sick of. I mean, that's part of my inspiration of running. Why are we using kids and firefighters and policemen as political pawns? And we've been doing it for decades, Eric. Not just Democrats, Republicans too, conservatives. Those are our favorite pawns, our kids, our firefighters, and our policemen. So no, I'm not going to use fear as a tactic.
Does decreasing revenue for the state of Wyoming equate to educators not making a living wage to you as governor candidate for Wyoming?
Not always. Eric, it's funny because people don't realize. Maybe I'll bring up property tax as a good example. Oh, you get rid of property taxes, teachers can't get paid. Property taxes only account for 7% of our educational budget in Wyoming. We got money coming from other places, like the school land funds, different other government entities, different revenue, minerals, things like that. So this idea that if you eliminate property taxes, somehow you're not going to have teachers is actually not true, Eric, because only 7% of our educational budget comes from property taxes. So I think we talk like the sky is falling, right? Like it's the end of the world. And these things just aren't true. So if anything, I want to bring the truth to people in Wyoming, and maybe that's something that will resonate with them, and they'll want someone like me to be their governor.
As we explore giving freedom back here at Super Day 2025 in Cheyenne, Wyoming, how real does your campaign get for you and your family? 6 months in to your campaign effort.
It's funny, when I first started talking to my wife about this, Eric, she was like, yeah, this is great, let's do this. 6 months in, she's like, oh wow, this is really happening. And I wouldn't say she's unsure or unsupportive or anything like that. She actually loves it. And Eric, you got to talk to her and probably got to learn a little bit more about her, but it's been a change, And one of the things I'm committed to, though, Eric, is what? I'm still going to jump on that trampoline with my kids in the evening. I'm still going to play croquet with them. I'm going to sit down and play video games with them. My time has got to be committed to my family comes first. And I got to work for a living first. And this is secondary to that, but we have the ability to do this as a family. We homeschool, and we can hit the road and have fun. So yeah, I think the reality is settling in. My daughter's sitting behind you, Eric. She's my biggest fan, I think. She loves. She's my biggest fan. You want to come say hi? Yeah, we'll have Gemma. This is Gemma.
Hi, Gemma.
You're a big 9 years old now, aren't you?
That's a huge smile, given that injury that I saw.
Yeah,
that's a huge smile. Good recovery.
She loves handing things out, talking about her dad, and it's fun for all of us in a different way. So it's good to have you here, sweetie.
Thank you for joining us.
Thanks for joining us.
This is the Talk Shop in Lions Park at Cheyenne, Wyoming's Super Day, an annual event for a decade, more than a decade now.
Yeah.
How long have you been in Wyoming, Joseph?
A little over 5 years. We've been here from Wyoming. We're refugees, and we are refugees in such a way that we came here to be in Wyoming like so many people, to keep Wyoming, Wyoming. Actually, part of my inspiration for running, Eric, keep Wyoming, Wyoming. There's a lot of things I see creeping in, and it's like, guys, this is the wrong direction to go. And I want to fight for making sure that we keep this the way it should be.
We're glad to have this opportunity. A lot of people here waiting to visit with you, Joseph Kibler, for governor of Wyoming, and we thank you for your time today.
Do you want to get into the big beautiful bill at all? Or?
You know, how about before we close, public lands, a topic.
Yes.
Do you believe that more than 200 visiting the Capitol building just this last Wednesday are influencing our elected officials today?
Yeah, I mean, I do think that it's had an effect on all of our elected officials. Our elected officials were ready to sign this thing, no questions asked, and I think it's caused them to ask some questions. I think that's a good thing. But on the public lands issue, Eric, if I may, for just a brief moment, there are definitely instances which this makes total sense to do. But what our federal government failed to do is put in the right guardrails. They put in just enough language to make the people think that they were going to do something good. But we want more than good intentions from government, Eric. Let's actually get a plan together. Let's actually make a plan and go, yeah, you know what? We've got lands that would be appropriate to sell and to develop and to grow economically for Wyoming. But let's put a plan together and make it be sensible and make it make sense. What was done in the big beautiful bill was just close enough that you almost would bite, right? But there was enough ambiguity that federal government could do, or government in general could do whatever they wanted at the end of the day. And that doesn't represent the people, Eric. And that's why I was disappointed in that.
Many of those that were protesting and came out in, frankly, against, in opposition of public lands being for sale, many of them were against it. Never, ever.
Never.
Not at this time, not any time. Public lands in public hands.
Yeah,
some of the signs that I saw.
I think
so you do support it in some instances.
Absolutely, it's a bureaucratic misunderstanding. I think for people, you know, they're thinking that their Yellowstone National Park or their favorite hiking trail in the Tetons is going to get sold to some private billionaire and they're going to develop it. But they are right to think that because their guardrails were not put in there rightly in that bill, Eric. But I could bring up a couple of things. Let's say you got 10 acres of BLM land in the middle of the city that's got a fence around it and nothing's being done with it. We need economic development in Wyoming, Eric. We got hundreds of thousands of acres that are just basically unusable due to the checkerboards, right, from the railroad days. What can we do with that to help responsibly develop Wyoming while being sensitive to conservation and the things that we love in our culture, but also go, hey, we need to be able to develop, we need to be able to grow, but can we do it in a responsible way? What we've seen recently is not responsible. So let's find a responsible way to, Eric, you know, our legislators this last session tried to get the federal government, tried to pass legislation to take over all lands in Wyoming from the federal government. And you know what? I wasn't for that. Why? Because there was no plan. What are you going to do? You're going to sell it? You're going to block it off? You're going to close it? You're going to give it to your buddies? Are you going to just abandon it? Are you going to manage it? What are you going to do? There's no plan, Eric. So let's do this with a responsible plan, because you know what? And if you're watching this right now, I think most of you are very reasonable. If people handed you a reasonable land management plan, and this is what we're going to do and how we're going to do it, I bet most of us would be okay with it, Eric.
We might consider it, huh?
We might.
The last topic, your signage is absent. An elephant or a donkey. Is that intentional?
That is intentional. In fact, I had to kind of force myself. You know, I've been a conservative Republican my whole life, but I tell you what, on the campaign trail, you're going to be hearing me giving my own party the hardest time, because I think we failed the people. I don't think we're representing the way we should. I am a conservative Republican. I've always been a conservative Republican. But honestly, I'm disappointed in the donkey and the elephant a little bit, Eric, and I think a lot of us are. And I think part of that is we are so stuck on party that we don't look at principle. We don't look at policy. You know, I've got a saying over here that, over on one of these signs, I've got a saying, you know, we ought to be more than just following a personality, Eric. We got to be principled and with purpose. And I think maybe we've missed some of that in conservative republicanism. So there you are. Yeah.
For people that can't make today in Cheyenne, Wyoming to see you,
Yeah.
what are some of your upcoming dates and times and places, perhaps, just vaguely, or where can they find out that information of where you're going to be?
All my events are listed on my website at joseph4wy.com. Let's see. That would be this right here. You scan that. But yes, you can scan this. But yeah, just go to joseph4wy.com and you can see all of my upcoming events. But I also show up kind of ad hoc too. For instance, they're having a community meeting up in Chugwater here next week or the week after that, and I am going to just show up and be there. They're fighting this windmill thing up there, and so places like that I might just show up. Otherwise, just check my event calendar. Eric, I am going to take a little bit of a break this summer campaigning just to spend some time with my family and to focus on some quality time with that. But you'll see me around. Heck, tonight I'm going to an amateur fight here in town, and I'll be hanging out there at the Outlaw Cowboy Saloon. That's actually not on my calendar, but I was invited to be there, so I'll be there tonight.
Fabulous opportunity to visit with you, Joseph Kibler.
Thank you.
Wyoming gubernatorial candidate for 2026. This is The Talk Shop. I'm Eric Henderson in Cheyenne, Wyoming, and we appreciate the invitation to join you, Joseph.
Thank you, Eric. It's great to be here. Thank you so much.